So as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by that creeper, normally a lot of the stories I'm talking about on here are really old from like some of my first campaigns and stuff. Instead, what I'm building this time is actually from a session I ran like earlier this week or last week. It was like a week and a half ago. It was extremely recent is what we're getting at. Where the party was in a village atop an ice lake. They were hunting for an ancient temple in order to figure out what these evil vampire people were doing, blah 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 lore stuff. You know how it's going. But what ended up happening for the lighthouse part is in order to get the information they needed of where the temple was beneath the lake, they needed to find a ghost slayer who was living in a building at the edge of the village. And they headed out there, and it was empty. The building, there was no one inside. The door lock was broken, there was blood splattered around the place, and there was a stack of books just kind of scattered around the ground. And one of these books in particular, the front cover was glowing red. And the title of the book, which had previously been something different, but it had been changed recently, had glowing red text saying "From the Depths." And whenever the party opened it, because they were interested in what this is, when they opened the book, they got pulled inside of the book. Now, once they were inside of the book, it was this small coastal city full of basically dead silence. It was the middle of the night, it was foggy. They could hear the shore splashing upon the side of the city. And then they met a fisherman. There was a fisherman that walked up to them and was like, "Would you like to buy some fish?" And the party naturally was like, "Sure, why not?" And then whenever they asked the person how much a fish would be, he was like, 5 coins. The party was a little bit confused at this point and was wondering, okay, copper, silver, what? And the person just got annoyed and was like, "It's 5 coins. I need 5 coins per fish. Or if you'd like to buy it." Seriously? A second time? Whatever, it's fine. And the fisherman was like, it's 5 coins. If you want to buy an eel, you can do that too, but it's just 5 coins. Just give me 5 coins for it. And the player naturally ended up giving him 5 copper pieces, because it's the cheapest you could give for that. And the player got a fish that had teeth. It had a bunch of rows of teeth inside of its mouth. And the player naturally was a little bit weirded out by this, but nonetheless moved on, and over the course of the next 20 minutes or something, the fish came alive, started to eat the player, trying to eat the player, and the party also learned there's a bunch of horrific eel creatures living here, which was the other thing the fisherman was selling. And now these weren't your normal eels. These were eels that had 1,000 legs, like a millipede or something, and all the legs were also tongues. So that was horrific. If you can't tell, I've played Dredge recently. And these eels could actually crawl inside through your eye holes and then take over your body and like control you like a puppet. Now, the party was obviously a little bit worried about this, so they quickly traveled to the lighthouse at the edge of the city. They'd gotten a note earlier saying, "Find me at the lighthouse," blah blah blah, stuff like that. You'll find out whenever I animate the full thing later on. But they got to the lighthouse, which is the thing I'm going to be building here, met the person they were trying to find, and for the rest of the night, because they were planning on setting sail in the morning to sail to the place they needed to go to escape from the book, and they spent the entire night defending the lighthouse from these fish and eel creatures that kept trying to break in. They were keeping an eye out, casting spells, slowly burning through their reserves. And one of the eels tried to climb up through the plumbing, and one of the players had to quickly like block off all the sinks in the building, stuff like that. And it was just a really fun, drawn out like siege of the lighthouse, basically. And that's what I'm gonna be building here pretty soon. Once I clear out this area, it's gonna be a small little lighthouse to light the way of where I need to return to, so I don't get lost again, because that has happened multiple times already.